Alrighty. Well, we're back, and another loss. But, and we were just talking about this. It's way better than the last three games have been. I mean, this was a fun game to watch for most of it. Like, I had fun watching the first three quarters. I mean, obviously, we have things to work on, and we're maybe not going to be the team that we maybe had hoped to be this season. But, I mean, I saw things that I was very excited about tonight. I mean, the first half was very exciting. The first quarter was a little concerning, but then we fought back, and I knew that if we kept this a game, that we could at least somewhat make a game out of it. Of course, Denver's an experienced team; they've been in the playoffs, deep playoffs, the past couple years, so they know how to close out games, and they certainly did. And we kind of went into what I referred to last time as like this Tibbs mentality, where we play like 8 players because we're like, oh, we have to win, and that it worked with Tibbs because the players that we had were vets. But now we have rookies that we're treating as vets that are not vets. So a little bit trickier to pull that off. But a couple thoughts that I had pregame, or not thoughts, but some things going into the game. There was some mention by Dave and Pete tonight about how Mike Malone said that Jamal Murray is kind of slow going into seasons, and he is like he kind of doesn't shoot as well off the bat. Obviously, he changed that tonight, but but he's maybe a little bit slower getting into things and getting a rhythm, and that to me, I guess I kind of thought maybe that's how the entire Timberwolves roster is. We need to get some games under our belt. Again, I know I keep using this excuse, but we're a young team. We're a young team that has not played together very much. And maybe we need a lot of games, maybe 10 to 15 games. Obviously, that's going to hurt our season, but like maybe we need a third of the season to be dedicated to us getting a rhythm, finding our stride, finding who we are like identity wise. Because right now we don't really have it. We made shots tonight, which kept us in the game, but that didn't necessarily translate to us looking super fluid and amazing at all times.
Right. Coming into this game, the Nuggets were 1-4. We were 2-3. We were dead last in defense, or we were second to last in defense coming into this game, and the Nuggets were last in defense efficiency. Well, they probably improved. We probably just tanked again. So now it's the official 2 worst defenses again on the next time we play them. And also, they lost a lot of their depth, and maybe they recuperated some of their losses with a couple players, mostly Jermichael Green and this Facundo Campazzo guy. But they look kind of thin overall. Like their lineup is very truncated. Like they have to rely on PJ Dozier and a couple other players that don't really seem like they belong long term in the league.
Yeah.
And I was just looking. Okay, I was like, okay, coming into this game, maybe there's been some heart to heart crap. Like Ryan has been posting on the media sessions that he's been talking with D'Lo. Like, great, you're talking to each other. D'Lo's been, talking how he's been talking to Ryan. That's great. Maybe they were scripting a story to tell us, but actually something happened, and I was really, really excited and encouraged. And also, I'm really glad that they didn't listen to our show because we were just saying like, punt the season, it's over, right? And I think there's still some truth to finding and figuring out like what works within the offense that we've put in all of our time into, and not shift gears. And my other little thought coming into this game is that I just right after that game last time, I spent about like 2 or 3 hours watching D'Lo footage, and everything came from the high screen pick and roll. And it seemed like if he dominates the game, if he has the ball in his hands and makes the right plays and makes the right reads, he's so effing engaged. He's a must-watch type of player. We kind of saw some of that tonight, and I was really, really happy about it.
And guess what? We have some early comments tonight. So,
oh, cool.
We've got Trash Panda 69420.
Ooh.
I love that username.
Love everything about that.
Yeah. So they say, I don't know why so many people are saying this wasn't a bad game tonight. We still lost by 15. In what world is this a good game? Decent point. Other comment that they made. At this point, any argument to keep Saunders around is entirely based around Cat coming back and playing well enough to cover up his coaching woes. So I think you're right about some things, and the you know depending on whether or not this is a good game, that's tricky because I mean Ashwin and I had pretty high hopes going into the season that this would be maybe like we take a run for like a bottom playoff seed, and I think very quickly after, especially the last game, our our like mindset tanked into I just want to see progress. And I think we did see progress tonight. But if you are holding this team to a playoff standard, yeah, this was atrocious. This was not a good game if you're looking at it through that lens because I mean, obviously the fourth quarter was just terrible. And that's a team, if you see that fourth quarter, that's not a fourth quarter that playoff teams play. That doesn't happen to a playoff team. And that's why Denver is a playoff team. And then another comment, they say this season has only proven that Cat is a top 15 player. I would agree. I agree that he's a top 15. I think maybe 15th is probably an accurate place for him, maybe. But but
The
I
play-in seed to the 15th player.
yeah, maybe play and see to the 15th player. But kind of to your last point, I am on board with the Saunders thing. I was pretty lenient with Saunders talking about this in our last episode. He probably needs to go. He's had plenty of time to put a system in. He's had plenty of time to be buddy buddy with these players. He's been ushered in by the family like club, and like it was great to see him. It was a good moment for him. I think it was a good moment for the franchise to have Ryan as this head coach for a little while. But we're kind of at a point where we maybe need and this is gonna sound mean just because he's kind of got a baby face, but we need like a big boy. Like we need somebody that is actually going to hold players accountable.
Rough.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's like at this point,
Balding?
he's like their friends. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're we're good candidates. But like he's good friends with the players, and I think that's good to some extent. But I think that's maybe more of an assistant coach's job, and not the main coach's job. They need to be held accountable. But I don't know if you had any other opinions on that, Ashwin, other than what I said.
Ryan Saunders is Ryan Saunders. I have so many thoughts on him, and in general, I think he's kind of a weak soul for this team. He carries a lot of weight and baggage with his father and his history of the team, and I think that it's encouraging to see something, and it's like a players driven kind of like a brotherly type of system that everyone really is driven by. But I think at the same time, sometimes you need a whip to every um, you know to engage your students in a weird way to say that out loud. But I'm giving him a pass this whole year. He needs a fucking year to embellish and involve this system with a team that's not going to be completely overhauled. You got a team that was overhauled last year, right? And he was given the job after Tibbs was let go as well, and like so much has happened. So giving him 1 year of kind of stability, even though our team is unstable, I think could work okay for him, and give it through the end of the year.
I mean, I
Um,
think just to go off that point, I think I don't know if I agree that he should be given the luxury of having all this time, but at the same time, I don't think it's a year where we make a change in coaches mid-season. Like at this point, I don't know that that would really do anything positive for us. Although I think I have a different viewpoint than you on this, I think
yeah.
I think it does make sense to keep him through the end of the year. Obviously, there's no reason not to, and I
Mhm.
mean, yeah.
I'm encouraged by what I just saw tonight, though. So, and the fact that he's willing to adjust his adjustments. So he made a pretty dire coaching decision. Dire, I don't know if that is the appropriate word, where he replaced Lehman with Culver at the four, and then he replaced Culver with Juancho Hernandez Gomez at the four, and then he put Culver back at the three. And Culver was guarding Murray at times. Culver was guarding Gary Harris at times. That made a lot of sense. And more to the point, he brought in a familiar face, Ed Davis. Now we kind of understand why he's in the team. He's on a roster spot here with us. And that's because he has familiarity with D'Lo. And there were some things that were clicking early with D'Lo and Ed Davis. And while we saw way too much Ed Davis in the first quarter, It was something. And we saw that repeatedly with Nas Reed and even with like a couple of Juancho Hernan Gomez post game things. And, Juancho doesn't have a post game. Like every time he was in the rim, like near the rim, he just bricks it or goes high off the glass or something. Anyways, there's this heavy pick and roll system that works really well with D'Lo in the hand, with his hands and eyes on the ball at all times, right? So, um, my impressions were these talks that they had, Ryan and D'Lo, were about giving me something that I need and not to improvise on the set, not run plays.
Mhm.
If I run plays, I'm thinking about things rather than thinking about what I need to do and make sure people are in the right spots and things slow down and things are way too meticulous for just improvisation. You know what? Jamal Murray is one of the best improvisers in the league because what happens is there's like this high ball screen, very similar to like every team in the NBA. But he just kind of operates on this little, like on the top of the key, anywhere around the free throw line, and get any shot he wants. And actually, on any foot, like any pivot, direction, fade away on his off foot, and he gets a shot up, and he goes for 36 tonight. It's like he and Beal are very similar, comparable players, and they can kind of just take over the games whenever they want. We don't have that guy right away. We don't have the guy who can get to the line a whole lot, right? So just seeing all that and seeing what we can do with D'Lo was encouraging. That at least we tried something unique to the season.
I agree, and I think I have 3 points to what you just said, so I'll try to make them all quick. But
Oh, that's cool.
the first one, Ed Davis. This was the first game of Ed Davis that I saw where I was like, "Oh, there's his value. There's his value. He's getting rebounds. He's just like hounding defensively to some extent, and it just looked like. I mean, obviously he should not be our starting center, but like in the situation we're in, I think he made a lot of sense tonight to put in versus Nas. I was honestly kind of worried about Nas going in the game. We'll get into Nas later. I loved Nas tonight.
It was amazing.
But to your D'Lo point, they were talking about this pregame about how D'Lo in I think in his Brooklyn Nets season, he was in points per possession off of pick and rolls. He was averaging zero point 0.9 points. So pretty good, like around league average, or maybe above league average, but still pretty good. And this season, off of pick and rolls, he's been averaging point like 4 or 5 or something like that. So it was, and that's evident. I mean, obviously, he's just chucking from the 3-point line, and he kind of started off a little bit like that tonight. So I was a little worried. I was like, where was this talking that Ryan and them had? I didn't really see that evident off the beginning. So that was a little concerning. But and then another thing that I wanted to point out in the last 3 games, obviously today changed, but because D'Lo was a little bit better, everybody was a little bit better. But D'Lo was a negative 89 in plus minus for the last coming into this game, and we had lost. Not that this is, I mean, obviously this is not exactly how plus minus works, and this isn't necessarily some great point. This is a Dave Benz point, but he was negative 89 plus minus, and in the last 3 games we've lost the games of a combined total of 80 points. So he has really killed us in the last 3 games. Tonight I thought he was much better. We did have some pick and roll, and maybe this is a good point to talk about Nas. Nas was incredible tonight. I thought he was great. Foul trouble, but he was great.
Yeah, he's gonna always like big guys are always gonna be notorious for getting those really small like ticky tack fouls that don't make any sense, and even some really you know outstanding calls that made no sense whatsoever. Where he passed the ball for a dunk to Layman or I think Wancho, and he had Facundo's Compazzo like kind of flop off of him. He was very active, facilitating. No like lofty passes. Everything was like quick and crisp passes. He was very quick with his decisions. He ran to the post. Note that Denver is terrible in the post, and we scored literally half of like 70% of our points in the post, like in the paint.
That's
And
great.
a lot of that was Nas. Like Nas just took it to Jokic, and Jokic couldn't do anything about it.
Uh-huh.
I was really excited, and he had quick plays. Like that's what the thing that I was always excited about Nas is that he just doesn't hesitate. Usually,
Mm-hmm.
he takes that ball and he shoots it from 3 because that's what he's able to do. He takes it down low and he yeah, what else is really exciting about him is that he's very tenacious defensively right now. He's gotten a couple of blocks that are
Yes.
very encouraging to see because I didn't know he could jump that high, and he can't jump that high, but he's at least jumping at least a foot off the ground. That's pretty cool. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, And speaking of jumping off the ground, Ricky can't jump, and
Oh my
Ricky can't
gosh.
shoot also. And Ricky had a weird tale of two halves for me, where he was very like facilitation oriented in the first half, and when he came in the fourth quarter for his stint, because D'Lo had it going on the third quarter, we're kind of all over the place. But when Rubio came in the second half, he tried to take the game over because there was no one trying to force any offense or no one trying to flow the offense with him, and he probably single-handedly cost us like 10 points because he wasn't looking for anyone else really. He was taking his own shots. They were terrible looking threes. There was a terrible transition bucket that he took,
Hmm.
and even coming into the half, like that last play, the 2-for-1, he dribbled the ball up, he sprinted the 3-point line, and he just like took a really stupid looking three, airballed it,
It was
and
awful. I mean, awful.
like, this is a precursor for how you're going to shoot for the rest of the game. Don't take that and say, "Hey, I'm going to replicate that for all my shots." Like I was very discouraged by him. On the converse side, I was very excited about what I saw from D'Lo, and this is like the good D'Lo. This is the D'Lo that we um, are wanting to see more of, and he looks so engaged when he gets his like crawling hunch, like
Yeah,
stance,
yeah.
and he's like dribbling the ball. He's like kind of like menacing looking.
Mhm.
He can kind of like like spin bounce passes, and he can kind of do some really crisp passes to the post. And he was doing that, and everyone was at the rim. Everyone was getting to the rim. There was cutting from Jake Layman. There was cutting from Wancho. That was really cool to see.
Hmm.
And the first half, I would feel we would be down by 50 if it wasn't for a former Denver Nugget in Malik Beasley, who I think is continuously impressing me to the point where the rebounds are now like an afterthought. He's exciting to watch. Like if you just play the game over again and watch him and every single possession, he's on. He is aggressive. He is in defensive stances. He's yelling at his teammates. Um, and he's knocking down shots.
He is. Tonight he
Probably most
actually did.
importantly.
Yeah, he did tonight, and that was huge because and I hate to keep quoting Pete, but like Pete was like, D'Angelo Russell is this guy that can make shots that are heavily contested, and tonight he's doing that. Tonight he was doing that, and that's just the kind of player he is. He usually makes these tough shots. That's why he's a very popular player because he takes these shots that are contested. I mean, there's players out there. I mean, if it was about making wide open shots, then that Compazzo guy is going to be number one jersey seller tomorrow morning. But but obviously, I mean, D'Lo's just incredibly skilled. Usually, he just hasn't been for the first portion of this season. We've got a little breaking news. It's not really breaking news, but
Oh,
during Saunders' Zoom conference after the game, Kat came in to gave him a hug.
oh, that's what we like to see. Hugs and a loss.
Yeah, it's like, and it's from John Krasinski. He says that he's like, it's been a long week for Saunders and the Wolves, and Kat was trying to give a little pick me up.
So during the press conference, he comes and hugs him.
Apparently,
That is that's like when Derrick Rose scored 50 points the other year, and then like Jimmy Butler interrupts the press conference. Like you're the man, you want it, man.
yeah,
Like that's him just trying to get attention from a thing and
I know.
steal the spotlight. And all right, whatever, Cat.
Well, Cat, that
Cool,
means
cool.
Cat's back. Cat's
Cat's back.
back to normal. um, yeah. But yeah, no, I agree. D'Lo was much better tonight. Albeit we still lost. And Nas was great. I one thing I wanted to say about Nas is that he looked at times he reminded me Trash Panda.
That's what you would like. That's what you would want. Wait, are you Cat?
Maybe.
Trash Panda is kind of like a
I
cat.
think Trash Panda's Cat, and
Yeah.
Cat's hugging him. It's just like this typical thing. What is that?
'Cause-
What is his name? Rob Perez always talks about the stages of denial or something like that,
oh,
where they like pretend that they don't want to leave the team and they console people, and then they're passed away. Man, oh man, yeah. You fired Saunders. I like it. Yeah.
What's up, Gersa? How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, it's Gerson.
Your team sucks, dude.
Oh
They're the
man,
smallest team
that's crazy.
in the league.
Gosh. Well, I mean, I think, yeah, no. I do think that it. I mean, it is looking rough for Ryan right now, and I think if this was a bigger team, if this was a more like a Lakers or something like that, and there was a coach that was struggling this much, I think we would be seeing tons of media pressure, tons of pressure on him. And I think in these smaller market teams that don't have that same kind of like, we're not going to be on ESPN tonight. ESPN's not going to replay the highlights of the Nuggets versus the Timberwolves, which is sad for the Nuggets because the Nuggets maybe should get a little bit more. But either way, um, he's not feeling that, and I think in the team they feel that though because they know they're in it every day. They know all the different things, and um, you know, we shouldn't need to be consoling our coach. It should that he should be the one consoling the players,
Yeah, no,
and yeah, and the fans. But Trash Panda did it, so
yeah.
you're gonna
Good
have
team,
to
man.
direct your questions towards Trash Panda. This is not our decision.
I wonder if it's not going to be on ESPN tonight, but what if it's going to be on ESPN like the Argentina edition, like the Ocho is for Puerto Rico. There's got to be one for Argentina because Facundo Campazzo, like what the fuck? Welcome to the NBA. Man. It's a 30-year-old rookie, Jamario Moon style. Like
Dude, what did he end up with?
he went 5 for 7 from three. He missed his first one. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And then he had this really stupid pass to Jokic and made a bucket or whatever. And then 5 threes in a row. And a couple of them when they were already up 15 or 20. I was like, get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah. No, not to mention he's 5'11"
Yeah.
and 160 weighs 165. He is
Well, yeah.
like,
Who does that remind you of?
I mean, a skinnier me.
Oh, same.
Who does that remind me of? Jordan
JJ
McLaughlin?
Barea.
Oh,
Okay.
I mean that's kind of
JJ Barea, but he never did that for us.
yeah.
He never made 5 threes in a game.
He
Like
did for every other team he played for.
every other team he played for. Yeah, which was just Dallas, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. Just first half was fun. So actually, Anthony Edwards onto the. Oh, actually, here more Trash Panda. Thank you
I
for all
love
the
this guy.
comments. Yeah, this is awesome.
Dude, special guest.
Yeah,
Welcome to
special.
the show, Trash Panda.
Yeah, we're pulling up
69-20.
your face cam.
Double act.
Yeah. So they say no further comments at this time. Yep, that makes sense. It's John Krasinski and the Wolves media just refused to be tough on Ryan and ask him tough questions. So it's funny. I was actually reading Dane Moore tweet earlier today. Somebody was kind of being tough on him about not because this is actually another good point to go into. People have not been asking, and this is another thing that would happen with a big market team, but people have not been asking enough about Cat's timeline because Cat's timeline is very vague right now. At first, it sounded like he might only miss a few games, and now the lingo that Ryan was using this morning pregame was like, "Oh, I guess it's been a week. I guess we could check in." And that was more of like the vibe versus like, "Oh yeah, we test them every Wednesday, or not test them, but we like check every Wednesday to see how it's going." And next Wednesday is the next time. It's not like that, you know. And to be honest, maybe we don't need to know this season because it might not be a very good season for us. But you know, like I still think it is important. And Dane Moore's point, what he was saying something to the effect of like, "What do you like? I'm not going to go out there and say this is like some like sham of a process that they're not being told." But he's like, we're asking, but at the same time, how can the team be so vague about this? Every other team has pretty like strict, like this is exactly what's happening. I almost feel like there should be I feel like there are rules about how like you have to be like if a player's hurt. Well, yeah, because like tanking teams, for example, if they're like, oh yeah, Anthony Davis, I guess he's not going to ever tank again. But like Anthony Davis on the Pelicans, he's just hurt again. Well, I don't know what to tell you. He's hurt.
Emotional damage.
Yeah, so it's like
general soreness.
Yeah,
you know everything about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there might be some sort of like weird play here by the Timberwolves medical staff slash management slash media, right? Like how media relations. Maybe there's like so like when you play poker, you have your hand, you poker face, you have like your cards in your hand. Like you don't tell everyone your hand. Maybe Cat's literal hand is actually worse than I didn't mean to do that, by the way. Maybe Cat's hand is a little bit worse than we're leaning on, and we don't want to necessarily like alleviate pressure from people like worrying about the Timberwolves. Well, they don't have to anyways. We're that bad. So, but if Cat comes back, spontaneously, they have to be ready for that, like the opponents. So that's maybe what we're trying to do is trying to keep our like our uh, I don't know what the expression is. Just we're just trying to be kind of mum's the word.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely possible. But to me, the only thing that would really mean to me is that we're gonna trade him. By the way, interesting thing, we're gonna actually I forgot we haven't jumped into highlights, so we're gonna have some
Oh
highlights
yeah.
come on. But
Whoops.
that's okay. I mean, people have been liking our faces so far. But my dad, and if you're watching, you sent me a trade request that he found from the New York media, or actually
Oh,
I don't know if it was New York. I think it was Boston media. Let me pull it up here, okay? Trade
okay.
talk. So I think it's just a radio station. I think it's kind of BS, but I just think it's hilarious to look at these other like radio stations and other teams' thought process on how valuable Cat is. Going back to your point, Trash Panda, about him being a top 15 player, how does this sound for a return on a top 15 player in the league? So we trade Karl Anthony Towns and Jarrett Culver to the Celtics for Jaylen Brown, Romeo Langford, Daniel Tice, and a 2024 first round pick.
I feel like I saw that a few days ago, and like a 10-game stint from Jaylen Brown is great to see him like improve everything, but
But
that's
you,
an that's not even close to a deal that I'm looking at.
why would yeah? And thank you
That
for
reminds me of Kevin Garnett going to the Celtics again, and for basically nothing and a dude that looks okay.
we'll get to your point in just a second, Trash Panda. Um, but yeah, I thank you, Dad, for sending me that trade. I didn't even realize what the picks were. It's kind of comical to see what these other teams think that they can get for Cat. They just because they haven't heard of him. I think, and that's same situation as when we were trying to trade Kevin Love to the Cavs. People just don't ever hear about the Wolves, so they don't really see the players that often. They don't really see how valuable they are. So they think they just hear what they hear on Twitter, and a lot of the time people are kind of all over him on Twitter. By the way, that dunk
Yeah,
by Wancho,
it was pretty
hello,
cool.
that woke me up actually.
Oh yeah,
But
oh yeah, I was falling asleep too. It was
but
like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like,
yeah.
everyone's
Uh,
wrong.
but to your point, Trash Panda, this is a good question for both of us. Would you trade Cat? And I think I kind of alluded to this in some previous episodes. I think I'm okay with that. I like Cat, and I think that he is a top 15 player. Something just fell on me. I think he is a top 15 player. Um,
That's cat.
but um, to be honest, I don't know what we would ever get for him, and I think it has to be at a point where he's maybe demanding a trade so that some teams become interested. Because if we just look to trade him now, it's kind of suspicious. Like, okay, what's going on? But we might not be too far away from that. So we have a new comment. N24 Wiseman.
What's up?
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Everyone
Everyone
wants to
wants to fleece the other team and not be realistic about trades. LOL.
100%. Oh my gosh, it's like I feel like Minnesota fans are pretty for the most part, pretty good at their expectations and what to expect for a trade. I don't think there's too many fans, and I'm sure that somebody will now find one and send it to me, but I don't think there's too many fans out there that are like, you know what? I think we could trade Culver and McLaughlin for Beal or something like that.
Yeah.
Like there's not that kind of a thing, and that's almost the equivalent of what that Boston trade is. And it's just crazy to me. And I don't know if this is just put out there so that people, because this is one thing. So the common man, K fan here in
Oh
Minneapolis,
gosh.
he's notorious for saying things that are ridiculous but acting like they're not, so that he gets more viewers and gets more people calling in all angry.
He's
It's
the local man, Skip Bayless.
he's hilarious. Yeah, Skip. That's a great comparison. He is like a Skip Bayless for Minnesota. So this could be an article that is just trying to get people riled up. But obviously, I mean, the Boston fans probably believe this. They probably believe this is a fair thing, and they're like, you know what? I love my Jaylen Brown, so I think Jaylen Brown is equal to Karl Anthony Towns, and therefore Culver looks like he has some upside. So let's just throw in Romeo Langford and
Sure.
Daniel Tice. Not to be honest with you, I kind of would like Daniel Tice on our team, but but not in this trade. It's crazy.
I would like to move on from this
Yeah,
because I don't necessarily think that Cat's trade value is going to be much higher than it is right now. But at the same time, we don't even know what we have with Cat and D'Lo at all. Like, we
Yeah.
have 2 game sample size, 3 game sample size. Let's feel it out. These guys are buddies. These guys, we are tooling our roster around them to some degree, and I'm worried about the future. But I don't even want to think about the future. I want to think about the next couple of weeks. Like, I just want to see
Hmm.
something that resembles a vision for a Timberwolves team moving forward. We saw a little bit of highlights of that, like in the third quarter, and we saw a little glimpse of that in the first couple of games as well. But just coming back to this Denver game, that game 82 play-in game like 3 years ago, man, that felt like an eternity ago. We got into the playoffs.
Yeah.
The teams went in different directions.
Sure did.
That entire core, the only player remaining in that entire core of the 2017 team that went to the playoffs was Cat, which is crazy. And Cat and Okogie are the longest standing tenured players in the team. There's so much turnover that we don't even have any consistency. Denver, since that 2017 season, has kept the core intact.
Yeah.
Even Gary Harris. They are probably regretting the crap out of that, by the way, because Gary Harris had a ton of value, and then something happened, something, injury, foot, knee, hairstyle,
It's
and now
gone.
he's nowhere near the player he used to be.
Yeah.
Defensive oriented, he's kind of like Andrew Wiggins out there, like literally a nothing. And they probably regret that because they started season 1-4. They had some issues like going down in the postseason, even though they made it really far. They needed another scorer, and it's not Will Barton. Will Barton sucks, by the way.
Not
It's
against
Mike.
us.
Well, I don't think it was anything versus us, but
Yeah.
Malik Beasley is, I think, the answer to a lot of the things that they're missing right now.
Yeah, he could be. If they had Malik Beasley still, they'd be looking really good.
Really, really tasty. And I am just loving what he's bringing to our team right now. And I want to bring it back in a positive light right now to the Timberwolves. Nas was great. D'Lo had a moment where we could see what he wants to do, and I want the ball in his hands when he does those types of plays. I'm willing to give him several months, a season, and a season and a half because we gave Wiggins years,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we gave Kevin Love years, because we don't have a whole lot of momentum future wise if we gut it again.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think the trade talk about Cat is kind of just banter. I mean,
Oh yeah,
it's like I'm not seriously considering some kind of a trade. GM Cameron here is not considering a trade yet, but
sure.
but I would be open to it down the road if obviously we don't have something with this group that we have right here. If we don't approve upon this group, then I think it's probably nice. Yeah, goat noises. Speaking of which, thank you N24 Wiseman for the follow. I appreciate it. If you're
Hey.
Yeah, for anybody watching, we do actually stream after every single game, win or loss, even the last 3 terrible games. Even the
We were
last
here
3. We were here talking about it.
burning the midnight oil
Yes.
specifically for you, like
So-
almost 1 a.m.
So I appreciate you tuning in and following. And Trash Panda. Wow, you broke our alerts. Look at this.
Look at that. We're gonna have to adjust our box now.
Yeah, let's do it right now. Here we go.
Let's do it right now. Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to entertain our fans, our audience,
You do it.
our members. I really enjoyed the third quarter stint where D'Lo looked like a halftime talking to, a halftime like call to action, brought him to his knees and was like, "I need to do something." Um, and he single handedly like made me excited for the future of this team. Um, we are misusing the fuck out of Anthony Edwards, and I don't even want to talk about that tonight because we didn't even see him. He was playing he played like over 20 minutes, and he had like 3 or 4 shots, and one was a nice long 3, one was like another like awesome jam or whatever. I don't know, man. Like, we don't use him that well, but D'Lo, we have to figure out our pieces, right? D'Lo showed us that there's something here that we can kind of extrapolate from this game, even though we lost by 15. That moving forward we can kind of be excited for.
Yeah.
Most importantly is that he looked confident taking those shots. Oftentimes in the previous games, he looked a little dazzled, like, what should I do on this play? Where should I move? And then he would go to the corner of the free throw like paint, and he would try to find a foul or take a really awkward looking shot
Mm-hmm.
and take very, very difficult shots. He looked like he was very much in control,
Yeah,
and nothing looked out of the ordinary. Sometimes when he's taking those shots, you're like, why are you taking that shot? Everything looked calculated, and he's a very good 3-point shooter, especially in transition.
he
And
looked
I felt very good about that.
he looked very engaged tonight. And I think the past couple games it's just been a little bit more of like I'm gonna get my shot up, get in a rhythm. And tonight, I mean, he was even making some defensive plays when he ripped it away from Jokic, and then he came down and hit a three right away. I was like, yes, that's the D'Lo I love. That's the D'Lo I want. And then we did see some more pick and roll actions and some great passing from him as well. I think it was incredible. There are a couple things that maybe I would have rather seen tonight, just to add on to this, would be I Trash Panda. I kind of question whether you've been watching us because you seem to know me very well. I do think Vanderbilt should be starting. I think Vanderbilt is such an addition and such a plus for us. Oh my goodness, yes. I
Plus, he was traded by the Denver Nuggets to the Timberwolves. Like he would have probably had, like in that 59 seconds that he played, had like 2 rebounds and a couple assists. Fuck yeah,
and
Jaden McDaniels,
he had
two
five
for two.
points. Yeah, he had five
Five,
points in 56 seconds or whatever.
what it do, Ricky Rubio?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, man. Like well, I want to see more of the young guys because we have nothing to lose, and we've been saying it ad nauseum for every 30-point blow up loss so far.
Yeah, yeah. It's frustrating to see. I mean, obviously, I do think that that wasn't a terrible game tonight. I think it was a good game tonight, and I saw a basketball game tonight. There was basketball being played by both teams. Fourth quarter was not good for us, but when teams start just making shots like Denver did, you kind of get into a panic mode, and especially inexperienced teams like ours just start to make some less good decisions. So it's I'm not so turned off by this game because the last three games were so bad, but yeah, Vanderbilt I think should be playing so much more. And yes, he is everything we've been looking at in 4-4. I mean, he is like Wancho. I was so pumped when we re-signed Wancho because I was like, yeah, I want this 3-point shooting. When I saw him shooting before, it looked amazing. It would just no hesitation shoot, and it was I loved it, loved it, loved it. But today, other than the
Yes.
dunk, I mean, it's just like, is Wancho playable?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the answer is no, but we've been harping on this for a long time now. Like, I feel like Vanderbilt is what we've been looking for when we were like looking at Nemanja Bjelica, like a kind of a
Yeah,
guy who can handle the ball, who can shoot the three, and can rebound, and have like this third like out in terms of playmaking. That's Cat, that's D'Lo in a lot of times. But that's also Vanderbilt. You've seen the games where he's gotten like 5 rebounds, 5 assists in garbage time. Like he's being able to facilitate, and so that's really exciting. I don't think he is strong enough. He's still a stick, just much like Jaden McDaniels.
yeah,
Um, even though he's swole as fuck from the biceps up.
yeah,
Uh, to handle the five, right? Like I think as N24 Wiseman says, as long as we play Van at the four and don't force him into the five, LOL.
I,
Because we're doing that right now. We're forcing Jared Culver at the four. We're forcing Anthony Edwards at the four. We're really playing all these young dudes out of position.
even Jake Layman
And
shouldn't be playing for.
yeah, and I'm excited that he's kind of having a little bit of his mojo back, Jake Layman, and exactly Vanderbilt. I love that. I saw that. That was so good.
Nice.
I think Reddit has forever used that now.
Have
Whenever we
they?
talk about that, yeah, the like once or twice I've seen it, which is every time apparently.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and just like I want to infuse them more in our rotation rather than the obvious garbage time. And it was really upsetting to see them only get 58 seconds. We're down by 20. D'Lo is still in there 3 minutes to go. We're not gonna win this game. Just get them in there. Get something going. We screwed up in the fourth. Rubio screwed it up in the fourth quarter. Like we had no consistency, and Jokic and Murray and fucking Campazzo, random white dude,
yeah,
takes over the game.
yeah. And to your point, sorry, there's a dog squeaky toy in the background.
It's cool.
But but D'Angelo Russell just now in the post game interview says,
Oh,
I don't think we're ready to win yet. We're still figuring out how to lose. Sounds crazy, but the way you lose says a lot about a team. Today we lost Today, how we lost was a good way to lose. I agree with that. However, I do think that in a loss like this, we should be playing. We should be playing these young guys. I mean, it felt like Anthony Edwards wasn't out there very much, but he looked good when he was out there. So I want to see Anthony Edwards out there. Out there. If this is gonna be a losing season, I want to see Edwards and Culver kind of made up for it in the second half. But in the first half, I was just like, Culver's gone. The promised Culver that we had thought that we had is gone. And he made up for it a little bit in the second half. But I would pay to see Anthony Edwards start at the 3 and Vanderbilt start at the 4.
Or Edwards stood at the 2, Beasley at the 1, and I don't know what the fuck we're saying, but Culver at the 3 and Vanderbilt at the 4, because Edwards and Beasley can have point guard duties to kind of switch on and off around with that, and Edwards has shown that he can take over games in college. Well, he's already been able to show that he's one of the only guys that can drive and score in the paint. So, because everyone avoids contact, he apparently loves contact.
He's strong.
He's strong.
Yeah.
I really appreciate his game, and I'm really, really disappointed and embarrassed that we're showcasing the top pick in the draft by sitting in the fucking corner.
Yeah,
I'm
especially.
really pissed off about that. But I've said that also, that last podcast and the previous podcast, for those who are new watching, that we could have like a Harden-esque, Luka-esque usage with Edwards, because I think 9 times out of 10 he's making good decisions, and occasionally random pass to a dude who can't jump like Rubio, or he'll like shuffle his feet because he's trying to get open. That's normal 18-year-old, 19-year-old crap that's going to happen and maybe persist for a couple years, right? Let him get his feet wet. Like, I don't like the fact that a guy with the ball in his hands and is a killer with the ball in his hands is relegated to the bench, as well as relegated to the corner.
Yeah, he's, for a 19-year-old, he's an A plus plus. Like he looks pretty polished, and his movement to the lane, like you said, like he's able to keep that defender kind of on his backside. It's very like, I can't remember. It's actually D'Lo does this a little bit. Chris Paul does it a little bit too, but like ball handling. Yeah, exactly. And he kind of controls the entire offense when he does that, because then somebody else has to come up so that he doesn't just have an open lane to the basket. So then you have two people on one player, regardless of whether he's really hot enough to be having two players on him already or not. But
Right.
but he is able then, because he's a good playmaker. So then he passes out. Sure, he made some bad passes, but he was hitting open wing players today, and I just couldn't stop thinking about exactly what you said about him treating him as like a Luka type player or a Harden type player, not trying to say that he is that level of player, just using him like that, because using him like that would be so tasty. I feel like, to see that.
Oh, and we could see a future. Like, I see a future superstar in him, and he's budding already to me. In the first half, he had 4 effing assists, and they were beautiful passes, obvious passes, and a couple of them were to Naz Reid. In the second half, his second half stint, he barely touched the ball. He had 1 shot attempt, and that sucks. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I look at the coaching staff, I look at the management, and say, what's our mission with him? What's our statement to the fans? Like, here we are running this really exciting like off-season promotion with Edwards at the helm, and we're not barely using him.
Yeah.
And yeah, Towns is out. Yeah, he might be out for a while. Yeah, they're being hush hush about what's his injury. This is the perfect fucking time to explore and experience what he could be like right now.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Rubio went out? Like, when we had Levine and Wiggins and everything. Levine was just kind of messing around at the point guard spot. We were forcing him to do things. But that got kind of exciting because there were some moments where he would drive to the rim and get a dunk, or drive to the rim and get a really nice like lay-in or something. And that, while he was young, got a whole lot of experience. And guess what he's doing in Chicago right now? He's running point guard in Chicago, him and Kobe White. So that was something that we wanted, and we got through injuries. Well, guess what? We want this with Edwards. And I'm pretty sure we drafted him for this reason. And we're seeing an injury, and we're not taking advantage of it. We're actually double downing on how small we are. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We have a dude in Vanderbilt. We have a dude in McDaniels. Just put him out there. Who cares if they get foul trouble? Like, that is so irrelevant to me.
Yeah. So Wiseman brings up a good point. Ant needs to be a tighter ball handler if you want to do what we're suggesting. And yes, I think so. But very similar to what Ashwin was just saying, I mean, Levine was not necessarily some great ball handler, and I mean Wiggins to this day still is not. But
He
you,
thrust them in those positions.
yeah, you force them into that position, and I mean, again, we kind of have to depend. We all have to decide as a fan base how we're going to look at this season, because if we're going to look at the season as we absolutely need playoffs, then yeah, it's nowhere near what we need it to be, and then we probably shouldn't be experimenting as much. Maybe here or there, but we can't be doing that Levine-esque kind of thing where it's like, okay, Levine, we're gonna have you out there 40 minutes to run the point guard position.
Yeah.
Like that is obviously not something you do as a playoff team. But it's just hard to know. It's hard to know how other teams are going to be. I actually did not know that the Nuggets were 1-4 coming into the night. So it's like if there are teams that are going to be that bad that are should be better than their record, we have a chance even if we're going to be I mean, we're not looking very good right now. We're 2-4, but like if we could stay close to 500, because in our preseason game or preseason pod that we had, we kind of agreed with the what was it 538 rankings,
Oh
saying
yeah.
that we were going to be 35 and 37. Um,
Yeah.
I think that's
Staying under 500.
yeah, I think that's still possible. It's especially, I mean, we need Cat to come back, but and that's the thing, all these conversation is just so sad because I want to see Cat back. I want to see this with Cat. I don't want to have these stupid hypotheticals where it's like, oh, I mean, should Nas be starting at the center? Like, like no, of course not. He shouldn't be because that's stupid. It's not like we have no depth in big players right now. Um, nice block there, Nas. But um,
Man.
but yeah, and geez, Nas tonight. So actually, this kind of brings me to our next little section that I wanted to have. Um, and speaking of which, also we had another follower, and it looks like it's Godfrey Chamberlain. Thank you for the
Dude.
follow. Appreciate it. We stream after every game, even if we lose by 50. We're streaming. Um, so, but what I wanted to go to next was who was the MVP of the game for the Timberwolves. I'm gonna keep it to the Timberwolves.
Okay.
So and I'll start first. So my MVP for the game, and this maybe is unfair to one other player, but I think maybe you'll hit him.
Oh,
um,
okay.
but I would say my MVP was Nas Reed.
Okay.
Weirdly, I think Nas tonight just looked so good. He reminded me at times defensively and offensively. This is going to be a weird comparison, but he
Sure.
kind of reminded me of Patrick Beverly. He was like swarming and he was getting up in he was getting up into Jokic at times and making him angry, and he drew fouls on him. And it was like a moment of, I thought, annoyance for Jokic. Now, Jokic just gets annoyed by anyone that actually puts a body on him, but I thought that it was effective, and I think that is a huge key. Well, Towns is out. We need to be drawing fouls on other teams' bigs to make them bad. And Nas did a little bit of that, and he also, I just thought overall, played a really good game.
Yeah, not only that, but like his game lends itself to drive to the rim to get bigs in foul trouble. And he has a simple post game, and he doesn't overcomplicate things, and he doesn't overextend himself and flamboyantly gets his wrist injured.
Yeah.
Um, so not a knock on Cat or anything, or not a punch to the wall to like Kevin Love or anything.
Oh my god.
I'm just thinking like keep it simple. That's how Embiid gets to the line. He keeps it
Mm-hmm.
fucking simple.
Yep.
That's how everyone gets to the line. He keeps it simple, and they drag their body to the contact. They force the contact.
Mm-hmm.
And Nas is doing okay. He's doing kind of like a Nikola Pekovic way of, instead of from the post spin to the lay-in,
Mm-hmm.
he's doing it from the 3-point line drive to the lay-in.
Yeah, it's
That's
interesting.
what I kind of remind me of.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the MVP for me was, and this is the person you probably were going to say, but then chose another path, was Malik Beasley. I think from his scream from the pregame to the postgame comments of saying, I feel like the game is slowing down for me,
Mm-hmm.
is basically a thing that, like, a light to this team that I wasn't expecting him to kind of take over games the way he's been.
Mm-hmm.
In where at the beginning of the season I saw him take driving way too much, and I wasn't really encouraged by how we're using him or how we're establishing his uh, role on our team. The fact that he's able to take the ball and handle the ball and drive the ball bring the ball up the court, facilitate the offense, get those random screens to a shot. Those are some sexy ass shooting mechanics he has. And when he has the ball, like a snap fire pass to a three, that is like where we want to be as a Timberwolves team. That is like playoff basketball
Yep,
when you can get that ball moving and a snap screen to a crisp pass, not a bounce pass, a chest pass to Beasley in rhythm shot. It looks so goddamn good,
it does.
and I want more of that.
I'll never forget the Clippers game last year where we were trouncing on them and Beasley scored like 7 threes in the first half. I've never been so hyped for a team because I was like, oh my gosh, this is the forming of a team that is going to win a lot of
Yeah,
games by 3 point attempts.
yeah. And we were coming into the season thinking like we're going to have no issues with our offense. We're just going to score 140, and they're going to score 143,
Yeah.
right? So that's not going to be a problem. We are struggling with our offense, and when there's this like lull, I'm so happy that Malik Beasley can just take it upon himself and take over the game. I want more of that. He's shown it for like 3 games now that he wants this, and we have elevated his role on this team from a bottom of the bench player in Denver to like a potential star. So
And it's the same thing we should do with Vanderbilt. Um, but anybody in chat, who is your MVP of the game? I see that Trash Panda said D'Lo. I assume that was what you were referring to. Anybody else have any? Because I mean, mine. You were right. Not Michael Beasley. My goodness, Malik Beasley was probably who I should have picked.
Godfrey,
But
Nas,
Nas, thank you, Godfrey. See, there we go.
Page, we're growing here together, and I think we
Yes,
have very similar notes. You know.
I think so. Yeah. Um, yeah, I just love Nas' game tonight. It's I keep going back to this quote that I've talked about in the last like 3 episodes, but I mean, Nas needs to not be Cat. He needs to be Nas. And
Mhm.
when he's Nas, he's a very unique, interesting player. And
Yeah.
I think he's not. His threes aren't hitting like they were previous, like last year. Um, but if he could start hitting threes as well as what he's doing, I mean, he's like a deadly player with a deadly amazing contract. Deadly amazing contract.
Yeah, we only really knew him for his 3 point shot, and that's what was really exciting about him
Mm-hmm.
and unique. And like Sam Perkins esque, I didn't see anything from him defensively. He looked like a statue out there last season. He has grown ridiculously, and apparently he works really hard. That is evident in how he's shown up to date. And I can't wait for him to develop, and I can't wait for his next contract with us. Like I'm excited for him.
Trash Panda says D'Lo because it was a big difference. Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean,
Yeah, you're right.
it was.
Lots of positives. Like we're all correct here. There's so many positives to take away from this game. It's just we lost by 15, and that sucks. And there's a wrong way, there's a right way and a wrong way to lose. I guess I don't know what the fuck they said,
Yeah,
but we lost by 15, which is not 20, which is not 30. We're improving.
yeah. And then Bees for Wiseman. He says, "Did it for me. His motors this year is unreal. Yeah, even pregame. And love seeing him go nonstop both sides. Yeah, he is a psychopath.
Yeah, he's like I think like he and Jimmy Butler would fucking click so well, mesh
Oh
so well
man,
together.
imagine having Bees and Butler on the same team.
Like Beverly,
Woo!
that'd be sick.
Oh man,
But apparently we have our own Beverly and
yeah.
Nas.
You don't like that take, do you?
No, I was looking for other people in the room to, agree with me, but here I am in my
That's
solace.
okay. Chat, destroy me if I'm wrong. I thought it was
You're
interesting.
fucking wrong.
What?
You don't even chat. You don't even chat here.
Yeah, I mean, please. I thought he looked nasty, and he was like active, fast. And I'm not saying that he's like trash talking. That's not what I mean. I just mean like his style. Like if Nas Reed or if Patrick Beverly was a center, I think there was a small portion of that
Okay.
tonight.
Okay.
um, but yeah, did you have any flops tonight?
Mmm. I would like to think he's like Patrick Beverly and Jimmy Butler, Jay Butt. Jay Butt. I call him General Soreness from now on until forever. So
Yeah.
I don't know him by his real name. That man died when he was traded.
Oh
Or
God.
what was I going to say though? I think it would have to be Rubio as the biggest flop for me. and that might be a bit of a hot take because he kind of played pretty well in the first half. But I think he kind of played pretty well because everyone was kind of playing pretty well, and there was some buzzing off of energy from Layman and other guys who were bringing the ball in from like cutting into the lane. So I'm not going to necessarily give him a pass, but I want to say all eyes on you, Rubio, for the absolute stinker you did coming into the half, as well as that second half stint where you just basically tried to take over the game and it was nothing but bricks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that was about
Uh,
Beasley. Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, okay, I don't know if I agree with the Butler for Nas, but
I'm excited about that comparison. That is really fun for me to see,
I like
and I
it.
want that player in Beasley, and I hope he wants that for himself too.
We need a player like that. And
Oh,
speaking
yeah.
of which, chat, go ahead, put your bust or your flop in the chat tonight.
Mine was Rubio. What was yours?
So mine, I think for the season, I'd probably choose Rubio, and tonight was not a good game for him either. And maybe this is unfair, but I kind of think Jarrett Culver's first half for me kind of killed it. I just thought he didn't look good. His shot is gone backwards. He's got that crazy hitch again, where it's like he like glitches out when he gets the ball back. It's like it takes way too long. It just doesn't look good. He had a sick putback dunk at the end of the game, and he did end up. I think he scored like 15 points at the end somehow, and he had some defensive plays. But he's just missing like little bunnies. He's missing a lot of shots. I see. It's funny because I was so down on him coming into the season until the preseason when we saw him and we're like, holy crap, he might actually be amazing. But um, I don't think I'm that low, but I think that I'm kind of in a situation where I maybe think, eh, um, he's not going to be the exciting player that I maybe thought this year, or exciting trade piece that I thought this year. Um,
Mm.
so yeah,
What is that weird movie? It's like Freaky Friday, where they like switch bodies, and it's like this Jamie Lee Curtis and this like little girl, and then they switch places, and then they're inside each other's body. You're way too young for this. Fuck me for saying this. And
isn't
you
it uh trading basis? Is that a HGTV show?
uh, well, I don't have that channel anymore. But
I don't
what
think
I
I
was
do
going to
either.
say, D'Lo and Rubio couldn't have been more opposite to each other tonight. Like D'Lo had a terrible first half, while Rubio had a passable first half, and then D'Lo had a ridiculously solid second half stint, and Rubio was a dud. And it was mostly like, who the fuck are those dudes, and why can't they be able to just be consistent on the floor?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want Taylor two halves from any of those players. I want a consistent player all throughout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lindsay Lohan. Yeah. I
Yeah,
had
yeah.
TJ Schruler. Hello, friend.
Oh yeah,
Welcome to the
welcome.
show.
Nice. Yeah, I'm
See,
just
Freaky Friday. There's no HDTV here.
yeah. So I think I'm
I
thinking
never had cable, man.
I don't have cable. I just have YouTube TV. Which, by the way, did my YouTube TV stop working for you?
Maybe.
Because I had my other friend Brantley. He said that it was like, you're not in Washington anymore, so you need to stop watching, basically. So it's stopped letting him watch. But yeah, I don't think I have
Oh.
HGTV anymor. Um,
No, it's still working, but like Timberwolves aren't on there, so it's
yeah,
I'm using legal streams.
definitely.
.com.
Yeah. Definitely no. What was that one? He streams from back in the day.
He streams.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
great. I mean, I know
Or,
nothing. I know nothing of it. That's just a
or Rap Nation.
yeah. So yeah, next game, our mini playoff series.
Yeah.
Denver Nuggets again.
Game
Um,
82 again.
Game 82 again with no Taj to block the game-winning shot.
You keep bringing back, huh?
We really should bring him back. Honestly, I would be all for that. But anyways, I'll keep that for another show. Oh hi, the doggy wants to say hello.
What's up, Cat? What's up, Theo?
Here he is.
He's a little dude.
Easy boy.
I
Oh,
took him out to poop a couple times.
you did take him out to poop a couple times. Okay, you're gonna go down now, okay, buddy?
So Jack Borman to Godfrey's point that Ed Davis was his flop.
Hmm.
Jack Borman, who's a new dude on Minnesota Twitter sphere, Timberwolves Twitter sphere. He's like a friend of Dane Moore, apparently. Heading in tonight, the Wolves were negative 49.6 points per 100 possessions with Ed Davis on the floor.
I believe it. I mean, we've been so bad with him, and and maybe my expectations were just unbelievably low for Ed Davis coming into the game.
And
Um, and he was okay. I mean, I don't think he was like terrible tonight, but obviously he's not an offensive player, so you're not really going to get much offense from him. I don't even know if he scored a point tonight. But 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 his rebounding was okay. I mean, he's kind of tenaciously going after some rebounds, and he was able to get some offensive rebounds, and I could see some attempts to pat back. I mean, obviously that's very low standards, but yeah, I don't know. Trash Panda
yeah,
says.
tonight was Jaden McDaniels and Vanderbilt only. There was a positive 0 for Naz Reid, and everyone else was negative. And even though D'Lo had a solid second half stint, he was a team high -21. Whichever, whatever. Like the plus minus stat is what it is.
Yeah,
It's just
it's hard. Yeah,
it's
because
hard to.
he's out there the whole game.
Yeah.
And when you lose 4 games in a row, you're gonna have bad plus minus.
It's hard. It's hard to be paid max money and put up some duds.
Mm-hmm. But it was. I mean, overall, I guess kind of recapping the game, I was very excited to see D'Lo improve. I thought that was a very promising thing, which is why it gave me some promise for the I mean, not to say that I think we're going to win the next game, but it gave me promise that we're going to compete again. I loved Nas tonight. I thought he looked really good. And I just want to see more Vanderbilt because I mean I want to see Jaden McDaniels, but I do think Jaden McDaniels is probably a player that we should be seeing in garbage time mainly. I still think that he has the potential to be really good because he seems to be getting confident, exponentially confident every game, which I love to see. But Vanderbilt, I just need more of him out there. I don't even care. We put Ed Davis out there, and he doesn't do anything offensively. I don't care if Vanderbilt doesn't do anything offensively. He is such a defensive problem for other players that in a position that we are lacking defense, it just doesn't make sense to me why we haven't put him out there more. So that's what I want to see from the next game.
More minutes where he can impact the game positively, not garbage time where he can cut the lead from 30 to 25.
Exactly. Yeah.
How about 8 to 5? That sounds really cool, right?
Yeah.
Where he's has a role, and I think that role is kind of building, and as his last name says, he's built. But
yeah,
I don't know. I think overall we're on the hype train of Anthony Edwards needs more time and more playing, more touches, and more focus on offense, and Vanderbilt needs more time just being out there, a body on the floor. Who cares if he gets fouled out? Like, who cares?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Trash Panda says might benefit from the G League. And Wiseman says McDaniels is too thin. Yeah, he's crazy thin. Like crazy thin. Maybe thinner than Corey Brewer.
Yeah, and N24 Wiseman says McDaniels is a better rim protector. I'm assuming he's a better rim protector than Vanderbilt, which is probably true, just based on how they were played and positioned in college. McDaniels kind of reminds me of Jonathan Isaac a ton, and not Jonathan Isaac before the series of injuries he's had and setbacks, which is such a tragedy. Was looking like a top 5 defensive player in the league. So if we can get a sliver of that or a percentage of that from McDaniels, I'll be very, very excited.
Mm-hmm.
On that point, I want to see McDaniels out there more when it matters. But I think when our team goes 4-20, blaze it. Let's put in McDaniels then, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we just need more time, and it's hard when Towns is out to put these players in meaningful minutes. Even though I kind of was trashing on Saunders for this in the beginning, it is hard to put these players out there when we don't have the same amount of depth that we normally have, because you want to win games, but you also want to develop people. But I mean, we're losing games, so like at this point, maybe it's time to just develop and see what these people have. So, yeah, Isaac was a good comp. I like that, Ashwin.
I love you too.
But yeah. So anyways, the next game is, we were going to go over some trade possibilities. Did you have a trade that you had come up with? We can talk about this another game too. We don't have to talk about it
another time. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like it yet, just because I'm not exactly sure. You can check back in, maybe to our next episode for some trade talk, because if we lose again, we're probably going to be going down that path. Maybe, I don't know, but depends how the game looks. Because if it looks okay, I mean, if I had to rate this game and give it a grade for how our team performed, I'd give a C plus B minus, somewhere in there, as opposed to where the last three games have been F, F minus, triple F minus.
Sure.
That's
Um,
in that order.
cool. I
um,
need like a 1 to like, 76.23 chicken McNuggets. Like that's my scale here.
yeah,
I just don't know what my grade is yet. I need to think on it or eat them all in the
that's
two.
okay. That's okay. Speaking of fast food, I had Hardee's for the first time tonight.
Wait, why not Arby's?
Why not Arby's? Oh my gosh! Does everybody appreciate that five Arby's sandwiches song? The one where they have like the super high voices. Oh my gosh! My wife's going crazy, but I kind of love it for some reason. I don't know why. I just
Yeah.
love it.
Stop jangling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
Richard Wood is thin, and he is. Who the fuck is he, man? Like, I love that storyline of from like being undrafted to like like regretting and you know having regret of not being a better prospect, and then boom, he's a fucking all-star apparently already.
so cool.
Um, it's very cool to see that in the league, and I just don't understand Detroit at all. Replace him with fucking Mason Plumlee. Yes, why is
Yes, Wiseman.
not even
Exactly.
sandwiches? It's five roast beef sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
It's dumb as shit.
I've never
It's
even
the
noticed
highest
that.
like pitch squeal. It's so stupid. That's
Uh,
why he got my money.
it's great marketing. I mean, it's annoying as hell, but it's so it gets my attention. The first time it ever played, I literally looked at like my TV and I was like, "What did I just hear?"
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was good stuff. But yeah, so that's the game today. We've gone longer than we normally do. Did you have any final closing thoughts before we head into the game? Start looks like it's an 8 p.m. game, so it must be Mountain Time. So 8
Okay.
p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Western for you.
Oh yeah, probably home and home. So it's like a home here and then a home
Yeah.
there.
Hmm.
Um, I just want to see more consistency from our guard play, which has been lacking. Um, Mainly our primary, we pay Rubio $17 million. We pay D'Lo max money, and they're getting outplayed by Malik Beasley, who might go to jail. Like who the fuck knows? So,
That's
um,
true. Yeah.
yeah, do we start the same lineup? I think the answer is yes. I think Ed Davis and Nas Reed had a good but not great um, pairing together. Like they were never put on the court together, which means that they could substitute each other and have like a formidable like defensive line, right, for ourselves. Whereas if you go from Nas Reed to Wancho to Ed Davis to like I don't know Vanderbilt, like you're kind of like putting pieces in the puzzle that don't really um, kind of aren't ready. um, for that position change. I think Ed Davis is just solid. He's a vet. He doesn't do anything negative to hurt us, but he was trying to do putbacks and he was just a dud offensively. Defensively, and offensively he sets good screens. Defensively, he's just kind of in Jokic's face. I don't know why I'm demonstrating that, but he's like in Jokic's face, and it can only do so much because Jokic is like twice as tall. Yeah, exactly. You feeling me, dog? You feeling me?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I was talking to Theo.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
but that's fine. What's really cool about that is that Nas comes in when Jokic is kind of already expended 5 or 6 minutes. Like, so he's a little bit weaker, a little bit more tired. Then Nas can capitalize on that. Then Nas can get Jokic in foul trouble. Then Nas got Jokic in foul trouble. And so we saw that in the second quarter, he got three, and we were really, we basically just took advantage of the fact because while they have Paul Millsap going off on from three, JaMychal Green going off on three, they're kind of nothings this in the today's league in the post. So
Hmm.
we were just kind of having our way at them.
Yeah. Um, I I agree. I agree 100% with what Wiseman said. We need to get Jokic in foul trouble because we have wing players that are great cutters, and we need to be taking advantage of that. bodying him, getting contact, and getting him out early, because tonight that put him off. Look at the first half. We were only down by 3 at the half, and he
Yeah.
had 3 fouls. And even when he had 3 fouls, he came back in the third quarter. He had to be careful, and there were times where we were able to get easy layups because he had to back off a little bit, because they know how important he is. He's basically their point guard. So it's it's something that we need to be doing against every team, and this is something we should have done against the Lakers. But obviously, I mean, the Lakers are the Lakers, so
Sure.
regardless of what we would have done, I don't think it really changes it much. So yeah, I agree. I think Ed Davis probably is the same starting lineup. Probably makes sense. I am just all for, though, putting Vanderbilt in the starting lineup as well. I just think he's too much of a positive. And
today it was Wancho, right?
Yeah, it was Wancho. And I think if you put Vanderbilt in there, that's interesting.
Vanderbilt on Millsap is not a negative. I think that's really something we could probably take advantage of too.
Yeah.
And they know each other. Like Vanderbilt knows Millsap from their play last year, so
and
I
then
don't know.
CJ Truler said, try to play D'Lo and Rubio together. It's hard. I love seeing D'Lo off ball a little bit, but right now we need, I think McLaughlin has not been as dynamic as he was last year. I still like the way he looks out there, but he's just not capitalizing. He's not taking a lot of shots. He's not making a lot of plays that are positive plays. He's just out there. And we can't rely on him to be the person that comes out with our second lineup, I don't think. But I think we need Rubio to be out there in the second lineup, and I think Rubio would be good with Wancho in the second lineup. I think that would be a good little combo to have. And then I just think, and then have Edwards come out as well. I think that's just an interesting second lineup, having Rubio, Wancho, and Ant in there, because Ant can do the kind of playing that we're talking about. Even though he isn't the best ball handler, he can do it, and I think it's, especially against a second like depth rotation, I think it's very possible for him to do that.
Cool.
But yeah, go ahead, sorry.
That's it. I mean, we lost to the Wizards, and the Wizards beat the Nets, so we're basically the same as the Nets. So that's something to be hanging our hats on, and good job by us. And Stephen Curry is currently at 56 points versus the Trailblazers, so that's cool to see. And there's a couple minutes left in that game, so if you're seeing this live, go check it out. If you're not, well, you fucking missed it out.
Yeah. But we'll be back, and I appreciate everybody that came and watched today. We had a lot more viewers than normal, so feel free. We already had 3 follows. Feel free to get a follow in. You'll see your little name pop up and see our little goal. I put a goal out there that we hit, I think 25 subs or something like that, or not subs, follows by, I think it was February 1st. It's just like an arbitrary date, but but I figured whatever, we'll have some kind of goal out there. But like we said earlier, we're gonna be back every single game this year. Yeah, we'll see you back here, Wiseman. And we'll be covering everything. You'll be ask us questions. We're gonna have more subjects that we talk about. Possibly get to some kind of trades that we think are more fair than obviously that Boston one we talked about tonight. Both, and I think it's fair that we could get to some trades that are both to try to help our current lineup, and once we get further into the season, like Ashwin was kind of saying, we don't really want to get too crazy. Oh, perfect. Bays Days. Thank you for joining.
I'd love to know where you guys found us from. Maybe it's just scrolling on Twitch, or maybe it was on Twitter or something. But would love to know how you guys found us, and can't thank you guys enough for doing. And yeah, right on.
Reddit. There we go.
That's like Bays Gays. Are you a Kent Bazemore fan? Please say no.
Please say no. Oh, that could be Bays, yeah.
Reddit. All right, that is. There's
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, Reddit.
Awesome.
Apparently,
I appreciate it, you guys.
Apparently, we need to be posting on Reddit. My goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate it. There we are, 84% to our goal. So appreciate you guys all for watching. We'll be back. Yeah. Usually we're on maybe 30 minutes, roughly 30 minutes after the game, I'd say. And we usually go for 45 minutes to apparently an hour and a half today. So, but that's all good for me. So it was good seeing you guys. Yep. Have a good one, guys. We'll be back on Tuesday.
Yep. And
Bye-bye.
if yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
sorry.
I was gonna say like at least we're not Andy Sabo and Kevin Lynch. You know.
Oh yeah, we had to get that jab in. Perfect.
All right.
Yeah. See you guys.
Peace.